Ever found yourself rooting for the bad guys in a book or a movie? You're not alone. These days, the line between villain and anti-hero is blurrier than ever. But that doesn't mean they're the same. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Neil Chase, author of the horror novel Iron Dogs and writer-director of the supernatural thriller film Spin the Wheel. And one thing I know all about is villains and anti-heroes. My stories are full of both. But one thing I've learned is that most people, even other writers, have a hard time differentiating between the two. Audiences are often drawn to stories featuring morally complex characters as they offer a window into the deeper aspects of human emotion and ethical dilemmas. But villains and antiheroes play very different roles in a story. So grab your popcorn, let's get started. A villain is usually the antagonist in a story, representing the opposite of what the hero stands for or is trying to accomplish. They are driven by selfish goals like thirst for power, revenge, creating chaos, or at their most basic, committing evil for evil's sake. Their actions bring conflict and tension into the narrative, often with little to no redeeming qualities. A villain can be a complex character, eschewing conventional heroic qualities for their own benefit. At heart, the villain cares for themselves, first and foremost. Key traits of villains include a lack of empathy, a willingness to harm others to get what they want, and a knack for manipulation or deception. A villain places their own self-interest first, mainly through immoral or evil acts. While they may not be completely evil, the story typically demands that they are necessarily evil. Think of Voldemort or Sauron, the Joker, or Hannibal Lecter, and you'll get the idea. In contrast, an anti-hero may have good intentions, but often makes questionable or immoral choices. Deep down, they want the same outcome as the hero, but they are willing to cross moral and legal lines in order to achieve that goal, something a true hero wouldn't do. Despite their flaws, anti-heroes usually fight for what's right in their own way. This makes them fairly complex characters, especially when compared with a traditional hero who typically tries to always do the right thing. In other words, while a true hero is a good person who uses noble means to achieve their goals, an anti-hero is an otherwise good person willing to resort to any means necessary. Think of Jack Sparrow, the Punisher, Mad Max, Dirty Harry, and Deadpool. Deep down, each one is a good person, who under different circumstances might be a true hero, but they each cross lines that a true hero wouldn't. So at their most basic, a villain is an inherently bad person willing to commit evil acts for their own benefit, while an anti-hero is an inherently good person willing to do bad in order to achieve good for those around them. Their motivations and how they achieve their goals also differentiates them. Villains often prioritize their own needs without caring how others feel. Their main focus is on what benefits them, first and foremost, even if it harms others. They'll do anything to reach their goals, regardless of how much damage or pain they cause. Their choices are all about what benefits them, even if it means innocent people suffer. Anti-heroes want to do good, but they might not always follow the rules or even laws. They have their own moral codes that push them to do what they think is right, even if it seems unconventional or illegal. Even though they have flaws, anti-heroes aim to make the world a better place, often driven to protect or save others. Villains usually don't follow any moral rules. They make decisions based only on what benefits them, which often leads to harmful or destructive outcomes. So while a hero will sacrifice all for the greater good, a typical villain will place their own well-being above all else. Now this can be both a strength and a weakness in a well-written character. Likewise, anti-heroes live in a complex world, where right and wrong aren't always clear either. They often struggle with tough choices that blur the lines between good and bad. That said, while they might not follow traditional hero rules, they still have a sense of right and wrong. And unlike villains, there are some lines they will not cross. So what line is that exactly? This is something many writers struggle with, even at the studio or published level. They seem to think that intent is what separates the two, meaning that if the character seeks to do good, then they're an anti-hero, while if they seek to do bad, they're a villain. But that's simply not true. Yes, the line between anti-hero and villain can be razor thin, but believe me, it's there. The one aspect that differentiates them is not their intent, but their actions, specifically if those actions, or lack thereof, directly cause the harm or death of innocent people. What do I mean? Take the Marvel series Falcon and the Winter Soldier as a perfect example. In the show, the character of Carly Morgenthau, aka Flag Smasher, is presented as an anti-hero through and through. She's someone who champions social justice, fighting for the rights of all people who were snapped back into reality after the events of Avengers Endgame. She's willing to break laws and commit morally questionable acts in pursuit of this otherwise noble goal. However, in doing so, she purposely commits a terrorist act which kills innocent people. In that moment, she goes from being an anti-hero to a straight-up villain. No matter how noble her goals from that moment on, her actions caused harm to those who did not deserve it. This is the line between anti-hero and villain, and we can see how easily the anti-hero can become the villain through one simple act. In contrast, the show also seeks to paint John Walker, aka the new Captain America, as a villain because he kills one of the Flag Smashers in a fight. But this is not an innocent bystander. It's a terrorist who killed innocent people as well as had a hand in murdering John's partner in an earlier scene. John's actions are morally and legally questionable, yes, but they are directed against a villain. At worst, John becomes an anti-hero in this moment, but his actions do not rise to the level of villain. In effect, he goes from being a true hero, like Steve Rogers, to an anti-hero, like the Punisher. See the difference? Imagine how much better the story would be if the writers of Falcon and Winter Soldier understood this and had the respective characters act accordingly such that Carly remained an anti-hero and John became an actual villain. The plot and character arcs would feel less muddled, and the audience would understand who they should cheer for because it feels right, rather than being told who to cheer for simply because the show said so. On a narrative level, villains and anti-heroes should each offer something unique that taps into our emotions and minds. Audiences connect with anti-heroes because they feel more real and relatable. They have flaws and vulnerabilities that mirror our own experiences. They highlight themes like redemption, identity, and the complexity of morality. By challenging traditional ideas of what it means to be a hero, anti-heroes make us question what good or bad really means. As such, their journey feels personal to us. Villains captivate audiences with their mystery and unpredictability. They often have larger-than-life personalities and backstories that make people curious about what drives their behavior. Villains often represent society's fears and anxieties. Their actions can symbolize corruption, greed, lust, envy, power struggles, and what happens when ambition goes unchecked. By showing these darker sides of human nature, villains give audiences a way to think about and critique societal values and norms. So the next time you find yourself rooting for the bad guy, or creating your own, you'll know which one you have on your hands, villain or anti-hero. Question is, which one will you choose? But these are just my 2 cents. Give me yours. Let me know in the comments below what you think makes for a great villain and what makes for a great anti-hero. And I'd love to hear who are your favorite characters for each. And if you'd like to support this channel and see more of my work, please click the links below to check out my horror novel Iron Dogs, available in ebook, print, and audiobook, or my latest film Spin the Wheel, out now on Tubi. As always, if you like what you saw, click that like button, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell to stay updated with the latest content. Until next time, stay creative.